So I'm Lou Farrell. I'm a Temple University graduate student, and my thing is public archaeology, and we like the idea that we can bring just everyday folks who can train properly on the sites and they can make a real contribution. This summer I will be supervising the dig at the Muhlenberg House in Trappe, Pennsylvania, and in order to get everybody excited about that, I'd like to introduce a famous person, Henry Melchior Muhlenberg, the founder of the American Evangelical Lutheran Church. Welcome, Reverend Muhlenberg.
Ich gebe einen meinen tiefsten Segen. Ich heiße Heinrich.
Ferdinand Muhlenberg. That is, these are congregations speaking English. This is speaking English.
Sprechen keine Deutsch? Was ist das? You know, I was sent as a missionary to serve the German people of Pennsylvania, but I quickly found that to spread the word of God, I would have to speak in a number of languages.
Reverend Muhlenberg, some things have changed in the past 250 years, and your ministry has been part of that change. Most of the people in Pennsylvania speak English now.
Okay, by all means then, I will speak English.
Do you know that the American Lutherans are still organized in the manner that you began and that your vision continues? This new Lutheran house that you built and maintaining the traditions of the Lutheran confessions has made for a distinctly American form of Protestant worship. Since we hope to be exploring your house this summer, I'd like to tell these people a little bit about your life.
That would be fine. I could read from my journal.
And I'll tell everyone a little bit about you.
Agreed.
Thank you. In 1732, a number of congregations petitioned for trained clergy to be sent to provide for the spiritual needs of Lutherans in the New World. Henry Melchior Muhlenberg was sent from Halle in Saxony to minister to German Lutherans in Pennsylvania. He landed in Charleston, South Carolina.
September 23rd, 1742. Had myself transported to the city in a boat, looking for German people, and found several who said they had no lack of physical nourishment, but they were gravely in need of spiritual nourishment, namely the Word of God and the Holy Sacraments in their language.
At the time Reverend Muhlenberg was called in 1742, most churches in Pennsylvania had been founded by lay ministers. His immediate task was to weed out pastors and schoolmasters of poor character and those with little formal training. The scattered churches soon found that they had a hard-working, highly educated, resourceful pastor, Reverend Muhlenberg. By 1748, he founded the first synod in America. He standardized the liturgy used in area churches and worked to smooth over differences between British, Swedish, Dutch, and German colonists. He was a bold and assertive.
February 17, 1762. We rode to Reading, arrived at Mother's about 8 o'clock in the evening. February 18th and 19th, remained in Reading, conferred with Mr. Bernard M. Hassiel. February 20th, rode with brother-in-law Frederick Weiser to his house in Heidelberg, and from there to Mrs. Kurtz's. February 21st, preached on the Passion of Christ, Luke 12:50, in the Trappe Church, and baptized 2 children. February 22nd, visited the school near the old church, then rode to brother-in-law Frederick's. February 23rd, rode to the Heidelberg Church, preached on Exodus 12, 26, 27, and returned 8 miles to Mrs. Kurtz's. February 24th, rode to John Weiser's, the schoolmaster Zeitz, had good company. Rode with John Weiser on February 25th, and his schoolmaster in the dreadfully cold weather, then to Mr. Nyes, whose child I baptized, and thence to Philip Breitenbach's, where I spent the night. Lawyer Ross's clerk gave me a fee, 3 pieces of 8.
It was quite weak.
Ah, that was average. My ministry forced me to travel all over these colonies, from Georgia to New York, even Nova Scotia. At least that time I was paid enough to sustain me. Pastors cannot always count on a regular salary. Is that still true today?
Reverend Muhlenberg was an eyewitness to history. He saw the Continental Army under George Washington march to the Perkiomen. He saw the British cross the Schuylkill River on their way to take Philadelphia. He saw the ill treatment of the Quaker conscientious objectors and heard the cries of Tories in their homes as they were burned. by rebels. His son John Peter became a major general in the American Army. And Frederick Augustus was the first Speaker of the House of Representatives.
July 4th, 1776. Today, the Continental Congress openly declared the United Provinces of North America to be free and independent states. This remains as a comfort to believers. There is one who sits at the rudder, who has the whole plan before him, to whom all power in earth and heaven and on earth is given, and who has never yet made a mistake in his government. He it is who neither sleeps nor slumbers, and who has asked his people to pray, "Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done."
We have a wonderful opportunity available to us. Beginning in June this year, there will be an archaeological investigation taking place at the home of Reverend Muhlenberg, if he will allow it.
I may. What do you want to dig at my house for? In my time, the past was understood by your lineage. Who was your father and his father? Time was marked by the succession of kings or princes going back to the time of King David. Have things changed? Is there a different way to know history?
The understanding of history has changed since your time. Now, we do not always think of history as a static chronology, as a listing of those in power. It's more complicated than that. Archaeology can give us information about the different people who inhabited the landscape in the past, helping us to reconstruct their lives by excavating, as archaeologist James Deese says, the small things forgotten. We would like to place you within that continuum of American church leaders. The tradition continues to this day. To do that, we want to know about how you lived, what you ate, the type of tools you used, who you interacted with in your time in Providence.
You mean Trappe? Is that what they call my hometown today?
Yes, Reverend Muhlenberg. Can we pick this on?
Young man, and I call you young man because you are, I believe, about 250 years younger than I am. Go forth and do those things that will help the people of your day learn more about what is most important.
Then we have some work to do in the next few months. There's funding to line up, permits to get, surveys to conduct, people to call, supplies to locate, and volunteers to train. Is there anyone who wants to dig with us?
Well, young man, I wish you the best of luck. I must go now as I have my missions to accomplish, and I have a hair appointment as well.